Welcome back to the Powered by Ground podcast. I'm Kevin Winkle, joined as always by the creator, founder, CEO, and big dog, David Kornienko, here in the building today. How you doing today, David?
Yeah, Kevin. Hey, thank you, and just welcome back for sure. Every
Yeah,
week talking about new home sales and just the pie of real estate. New homes, resale, and distressed homes.
yeah. And for those of you who don't know or just tuning in now, Powered by Ground is a broker education platform created by David to help us understand more about what it looks like working in the new construction arena. Most agents don't really touch base in that very much. We're dealing mostly with resale homes, and it really is a part of your business that you need to understand and you got to know. And I've been learning so much from David. And David, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge so freely with agents and on this platform. That's
And
pretty
I'm
cool.
really, and I totally agree with you, Kevin. Like just in my research of information out there, it's just been very silent, right? Especially on the broker community about new home sales. How do you do it? How do you and this is our goal, every week or whenever we have a chance, with you here, is to bring knowledge, education in the space of new home sales and just show and reflect, the great opportunity that's out there for brokers.
And we will continue to do that right here. And so far, so good. There's been a lot of feedback. For those who don't know, there's actually been a lot of growth locally in the area that we're in. It's
Yes.
one of the fastest growing areas in the country right now. We last year we had well over 30% of sales in our area was new construction. And in some areas, some parts of town, it was close to 100%. We have just like new bits of town popping up all over. So there's a lot going on right now. And I've seen the growth myself. I've seen other agents jump into this and accelerate. It's changed my business. And David came to the table today with a great idea. He really wants to get into the business plan of working with builders. So that's what we're going to do
Hmm.
today. We're going to break down this business plan of working with builders, from how to find them, the bridge building that you have to do with them, the different types of the builders, what you got to bring to the table, and how to market this. So, David, let's get it kicked off.
Yeah, let's
The
do it
the
for sure.
the first thing that comes to mind is like, how do we even get in touch? How do we make a list? Like, where would you say people should start with even finding the client base for working in new construction and to get their head around it?
So whether you're a seasonal broker or just a broker starting out, I mean, we drive through communities a lot. You drive, Kevin, I drive. We show properties. We'll look at properties either ourselves or with our buyers, or we go look at sellers. So we should start to be a lot more oriented and focused on the new stuff that's definitely taking place just around us that we see while we're driving. So our first kind of topic of discussion is really, making that list. First, consciously making that list, and then really being very intentional and sitting down and starting to write out the list. And whether you're a small, metro market or a really big, I mean, usually the list will not go, above 100 builders that are currently building. There's a lot less builders than there are brokers in any market. I mean, take Southwest Washington, right? We have a couple
Right.
thousand brokers, but yeah, when it comes to builders, there's probably, just maybe between, the one timers, just or the guys who are starting off to the guys who are doing production, there might be 100 of them. So, sit down and just consciously like start to look at the MLS, look at the market, look at Zillow, and start to, while you're driving, start to make note of the builders that are truly in your market. And like you mentioned, it's pretty easy, Kevin, when you go to emerging markets, right, where almost it's true, like some places that's the only inventory there that is new home sales. So like some places is a lot more obvious, other places it's less obvious, but your goal is to make that list and slowly make that list for yourself. And this is kind of like it falls into the realm of prospecting, right? What do you do when you start your business? You start prospecting, you start to collect data and slowly organize it. And this is you're collecting the data on the builders. And what you're doing is then you want to eventually rate them, meaning who are the builders that you personally like. And this is where you have to make an assessment as a builder, and a lot has to do with that, like whether you come from that space, whether you have a buyer pool, whether you work with sellers in that space and that price point. So if you have, if you're in the space of luxury and you like luxury homes, well, guess what, builders who build luxury are going to be the closest appeal for you. If you work with first time home buyers, you know who's going to appeal to you? Well, probably the guys who are building just traditional boxes, and just taking them to the market. So you have to make that list and slowly start to rate it upon your influence or your visibility or your presence in that market.
Yeah, it's imperative. It really is. We have to grow our networks, and we have to understand who these different builders are. A little piece that I'll just throw in here for folks, for me starting out, one of the places that I started to build this list, or at least find out who's working in what communities, was with the title companies. When you reach out to title, and not just one of them, reach out to a few, because everyone's got
Mhm,
different relationships. But a lot of these title companies have like a new construction expert, or the head of a new construction
mhm,
division. So we've got people in our area in different parts of town that will have different builders, and
mhm.
sometimes the bigger national ones are a little more of a challenge to get into, or to strike up a relationship with, unless you have a piece of land that they might be interested in. In which case, you got to prospect to get the land first. But the smaller builders, and these are the ones the title companies can help to get you in contact with. They're just doing a few at a time, but they definitely need someone to find them land. They definitely have are open to a conversation for sure. I mean, they
Yes.
don't get a lot of people calling them. So if your title rep puts you in contact, and you're like, hey, my person down at the title company, this person said I should reach out to you, then it's already kind of a warm introduction in a way. So it's not as difficult or as daunting to start a conversation. They're just people like the rest of us. Um,
Exactly. And
yeah,
and that's what one of the things, like, it's crazy, but like just the concept of prospecting, you have to always reiterate that to the brokers. Hey, these builders are expecting a call from you, just like they're expecting a call from a client. They actually want you to call them, but you always have to, like, break through that denial factor. Like, do they really want to talk to me or not? So yes, definitely make that list,
right,
Kevin, and all of us need to make that list. I have an Excel spreadsheet where I make a list of all the builders in our Southwest Washington, and I kind of study it and review it, and if new names come across, and then what you want to do is you really want to see, like, what's the closest to heart to you. What is the closest five builders? Rate them.
right,
And like I mentioned, if you're working with first time home buyers, you know but you better learn all the LGIs, DRs, Lennars, all the tiers of guys who are bringing a product in that price point. And whether it's a
sure,
local
yeah,
guy to an ABC builder who's just building in the lower end, but you better get accustomed to those lower ends. Because why? And I always say, because your clients are there.
sure,
Do a good service to your clients and you be there also. But like, it's so important for you to be there because your clients are there, and this is very important as a service that we have to do to our clients. So make a list of five builders, in whatever sector of the market. If you're working with a lot of move up buyers and move up sellers, right, they're selling their first time home purchase, then you're in that mid range, right? We'll find, the 5-10 builders who are building the mid range, and start learning their products, start, talking to them, start learning. So you have to have a list, and then you have to rate them. And then once you rate them, I say you slowly become exposed to them. So once you and I do a transaction, like you're a builder, Kevin, and I'm, a broker, and then I
all
have
right,
a buyer. You and I do one transaction. Guess what? I call it the bridge building aspect. Me and you're slowly building a bridge within each other in the
mhm,
retrospect of doing business. And this is how you're going to build business with builders. You have to start building the bridges, whether it's with their inside salesperson and it's a national builder, or it's directly with the builder if they're a local builder and they're a smaller shop. But you have to start building that bridge, and that is
True.
kind of our next thing. You go from prospecting, having a list, kind of figuring out the best rating of those builders. It depends on your book of business. And then now you have to figure out how are you going to build bridges with these builders or their inside salespersons. And again, you have to, because your customers are there. You just
They
have
are.
you have to, as a broker, move into that space.
That the customers are definitely there, whether we know it or not, or have been told about it. They're over there chatting with the builder. Definitely. They're looking at their
Hmm.
stuff online, and we know that most of the houses are looked at online before they're ever purchased. So if they're looking at resale homes, they're also looking at new construction homes. So as a broker, we have to know it. Even if we don't like a particular builder, we still have to know it.
Exactly. You still
We
have to
need to
know it.
go in there. Like, it's just crazy to me, the numbers of how much of it is new construction. And when you think about that, the excess large majority of those new construction sales don't involve a broker. So people are actually just flying blind, and they're going in there and working straight
Hmm.
with the builder, which is not the way that they get the best deal, and it's not the way that they're the most protected, for sure.
Hmm.
And so it's a super one-sided deal. So it really is in everybody's client's best interest that we learn this stuff as well. And it's pretty easy, honestly, to get in touch, because they're salespeople. They want to sell whatever they have and what they have upcoming, and they're happy to educate. So I've found out myself, going to connect with like Urban Northwest Homes,
Hmm.
Evergreen Homes, and a few other ones in the area, and they're happy to take time and walk you through and show you all the different options that they have, and what their MO is, what they're really about doing. And that's been extremely useful for me as a broker earlier on in my career, just knowing what's out there when I can go get direct education from the people that are selling the products that we're selling. Like, we have to know what it is that we're selling. And if someone's coming in and they have the lowest price point, and they have to pick from starter homes, then we got to know what those homes are, where they are, where they're going to be in a year. Because sometimes,
Hmm.
yeah, and that's really, really important, because that's how long it takes at a minimum to work with even the big box builders. It's going to take, 3 to 6 months at a minimum, if they already have the foundation poured, if not longer.
And a lot of times, like a lot of brokers say, "Oh, you know what? It's so hard to work with builders." But hey, working with clients, finding a buyer right now on the
Mm,
market or a seller, nurturing them, right, prospecting on them, and eventually getting them to the closing table is not any easier. It's the same process, but
yeah.
actually with builders, it's a lot easier because you do it once, and guess what? They could become a repeat client 2 years, 3 years down, down the road. So like you only have to do this, bridge building once with this builder, and they already have your contact in their phone and so forth. So in a sense, it makes a lot of sense to start doing this and make it part of your business plan, working with builders. And a lot of people or a lot of brokers ask, what's the offering? And I think the value
Mhm.
prop or the value proposition is, builders want buyers to buy their finished product, and builders want lots. Those are the two things that drive their business. Those are the two top things that drive their business, is buyers who buy their product, and once they buy their product, they want to go out there and build again. So they want more lots, just to work through so they can go and build more homes. So this is what, brokers should always think about. Hey, what do builders want? They want lots. So hey, if sometime in your season of a broker, you find a piece of dirt, you should start prospecting all the builders and getting to know them. This is a phenomenal opportunity to get to know your builders by having a lot listing. And at the same time, like we mentioned in our first step, is your buyer pool. What are the buyers
Right.
you're working with? Start bringing them. Just call one of the builders, say, hey, I'm working with a startup buyer. Let's talk. Hey, I'm working with a buyer who's a custom builder. They want a custom builder. Let's talk. So the more you build bridges, with these builders on these two value props, the bigger the bridge will get, and there's more opportunity at these levels.
1,000%.
I know some
Yeah.
brokers who've sold like 30 and 50 homes of one builder just on the buyer side.
Wow.
I
That's
know.
that's
It's amazing
that's
because what they
impressive.
did was,
Yeah.
yeah, they took the builder's product, they looked at their buyer pool, and they're like, we're gonna mesh that together, right? Like one family wants to live with their cousin next door, wants to live with their family relative, whatever. Like everybody has their, buyer pool, right? And then so they took their buyer pool and they're like, this builder would be a good match to their buyer pool, and they meshed it together. They made a lot of transactions. It was amazing to watch.
That's phenomenal. That that sounds excellent. And another hot tip for everybody out there, the other thing the builders want, and this sometimes can be a very quick inroad and a great way to help boost your sales. They want social media coverage because
Yes.
nobody's covering them whatsoever.
Yes.
So they are just elated at the idea of having someone come and let them talk about what they do and
Mhm.
get on camera a little bit. And it doesn't have to be anything
Yes.
more than even taking your cell phone with or whatever. But it's a really great way to build a bridge long term and to show the active market when people go look you up that you actually
Mhm.
do know this builder on a personal
Yes.
level and that you've been there and you've heard them talk about
A
what it
and
is
and I
they
think you're
need.
right. Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a huge need. They need marketing big time. And as you know, as agents, we're in a social kind of a role where we have to know a lot of people and have to network with a lot of people, and that's extremely valuable to the builders too. So if they see that you're actively advocating for them, they're going to be a lot more prone to continue building that bridge with you, and that doesn't cost anything to do. It doesn't. You can
Just a cell phone,
just a
right?
cell
And a
phone.
social media platform. That's it.
Yep. Yeah. That's totally it. And
I think that's how you and I cross path, Kevin, is just social media, right? Like, I mean, you see me, I saw you, your name started to come up, and so forth, and through other brokers, like our roads met. So, like, I totally agree, and that's kind of our next section is marketing, right? Brokers,
yeah,
either they have to brand themselves or brand companies, and this is where they have to start branding themselves with what they know. So if I know of
right.
ABC Builder and I do a video clip, right, or if I go do a community tour, well, what am I reflecting actually to all my buyer pool and my seller pool? Hey, this is one of my top 10 builders that I work with in my community. Reach out to me and I'll give you more information. So yeah, marketing is basically the next platform that you have to start looking at when working with builders. How are you associated with this builder? How are you working? How are you overlapping and getting this marketing to your, pool of business?
There's a lot of ways to market to your pool of
Mhm.
business for these builders, and it's always interesting to see what it is that they're doing and what it is that they're not doing, and you might be shocked by what they're not doing. You might get in touch with the builder and find out that they don't hold open houses. You might find out that they don't have a model home. They just build
Mhm.
it and throw it up on the market, and then it's just sitting there. And
Mhm.
honestly, if it's spec built, if it's completely finished, that should be a daily open house till that thing
Mhm.
sells or until people stop walking in. So there's a whole bunch of different ways to go about it. I mean, you can have first time home buyer classes out of model home. Builders might even
Exactly. Yeah,
throw.
there's title companies who do education with lenders and brokers at Builders Open, and I've been at those, and they're great ideas, and they bring like 20 brokers under one roof. So absolutely, you have to be involved in all of these layers
Yeah.
of marketing.
What's the biggest hole that you see, David, as far as their marketing goes? Like how can people be the most benefit to most of the builders?
So I think it's more of the brokers bringing the marketing to their pool of business. This is where I think the biggest disconnect is. I mean, it's good that, sometimes, stuff is on the MLS or stuff is on Zillow and so forth. But there's such a huge need of brokers bringing that new home business to their pool of business. This is why in marketing IDX exists, right, in our website. But what does IDX do? Well, it takes all the inventory of the MLS, it puts your name on it, and it takes it to your website. Well, who visits your website? Well, oftentimes people who know you or are referred by you and so forth. It's your network, it's your pool of business. And this is where I believe, it's almost the IDX of you virtually doing it, whether it's a newsletter, whether it's it's a video, it's a podcast, whatever it is, where you're telling your pool of people or people who know you to begin with are starting to understand that, hey, he's giving us an update on this new community that has 200 lots. I mean, Kevin, every time I go to a new city or wherever I drive, I love looking at something new come up. I really mean it, especially like you're going down a freeway and you're like, whoa, look at that. There's excavations, then you find out, it's like, 1 million square feet of Amazon building or whatever it is, right? Or it's, like I was driving in Canada, I remember, and there's a home under construction. It was a 22,000 square foot house. And I started to talk to my relatives like, what's going up there? What is that? He's like, oh, this guy, he's very rich, he's building himself a house here. So like real estate is a huge conversation holder, whether it's on news, whether it's in around the table, whether it's on vacation. I mean, people talk about real estate all the time. Real estate goes up, real estate comes down, real estate is flat, and so forth. Like people talk about real estate all the time. We'll talk about new real estate all the time too. And you'll see how that is part of your marketing pitch to your pool. And you'll see how far it goes. It'll take you really far.
It really will. We're constantly talking about real estate,
Mm-hmm.
and I hear the conversations in public all the time, and I'm trying not to listen.
Yes.
I'm really not trying to eavesdrop, but I always hear something. Every time I'm at a restaurant, someone's talking about it in the background somewhere, and
Mm-hmm.
it just that's just kind of what it is. And it makes sense because we're humans and we live inside of buildings. That's what we've decided. So it's a
Exactly.
huge part of our life. It's a big part of everywhere, and it's that much more important to understand what the new things are, what's on the trend, what's on the horizon, what's going on in the future, and what options there are for people. I mean, that's literally what
Mm-hmm.
we're paid to know. And
Correct.
so it's really shocking that there's such a breakdown in the industry between the people that bring the product to market and the people that are helping to service the clients as they and the future homeowners as they're going around and trying to navigate the system. So the more education that we can get, the better. And I think one of the best ways is to ask the builders their story, why they do it,
Mm-hmm.
what they do it,
Yes.
and where they started, what that whole background looks like. And this is easy for to get a conversation going with them. They all kind of have an elevator pitch ready as it
Mm-hmm.
is,
Mm-hmm.
where they're from and what they did. So so asking to say, "Hey, man, can I interview you for social media?" They will always say yes, and make sure you got some decent mics when you do it. But you can ask them, "What's your story?" And
Mm-hmm.
even if you aren't going to do that recording, either way, if you just meet with them in person, pardon me, and ask them, "What's your story? How'd you start? What's your plan here? What are they planning to build next? Do they have anything
Mm-hmm.
big on the horizon?" These are
Yes.
all these are all things, not just current inventory. Definitely find out about that, but what the plans are for the future, because we know these
Mm-hmm.
projects take years
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, but that's okay. Buyers take years sometimes to get ready to buy. They just do.
Exactly. And
So if you're
sellers do too. Like, why
yeah,
are we prospecting our databases? Because we're always looking for that buyer, but you're spending years prospecting. So, yeah, in essence, it's the same amount of work, working between your pool and then adding builders to that prospecting pool.
yeah. The- and there's so many different nuances to this. There's so many different builders. There's one of my favorite builders outside of Northwest Home Builder Group, who actually was my favorite builder in Southwest Washington before I met you, David. So that's kind of funny, because I was running around and opening a whole bunch of doors with buyer tours and
Mm-hmm.
just like the style. But one of my other favorites is our friend John Gerard. And
Yeah.
John is with Quail Homes, and John is the second generation builder. For those of you who don't know him, get to know him. He's a really great guy. And he builds a special, specific type of home for a specific type of client.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great because the clients that would go to his type of homes, they're not gonna be the ones buying these 2-story homes or kind of like the middle ground homes, 2,500 square
Mm-hmm.
foot, a whole bunch of stairs and that kind of thing. It's a different layout. So he's specialized in exactly what he does. Whereas other builders, they're specialized in like a very modern, luxurious look. There's other
Mm-hmm.
builders still that are almost like old school, that they build brand new to look a little bit dated, but that's because it's what
Mm-hmm.
their clients want. There's some of those out there that don't have that super super modern kind of looking thing to them. So really getting to know all of them and what their personality is something that's a huge value add for our clients, for other folks that we're going to run into in the
Mm-hmm.
industry, and just to have that knowledge base in the first place. It's only going to strengthen our relationships with our clients and with other brokers. Honestly, there's a lot of bridge building in between brokers that can be done in this kind of scenario.
And a lot of brokers ask me, I mean, where do I go and so forth. So most of the builders, you can start with working their buyer pool, bringing buyers, then bringing marketing to them. So if they could see that you're doing substantial marketing for that builder. And third, when do you come on board as a listing broker? So for nationals, yes, that's going to be almost impossible, but for local builders, I see that the brokers and the builders go through some kind of a reset every, I would say, 3 to 6 years. So there's new talent that comes into the market on the broker side, and then the builders see that this new talent is better or fresher or more aggressive in sales and so forth. So there's always a rotation of talent. So I would say never be discouraged of, is there an opportunity of me being a listing broker for builders or not? Yes, there is, but just like, taking on that listing, you're competing with other brokers. Well, taking on that builder to be a listing representative, you're going to have to jump through your own hoops, and you're going to have to show that you can perform, and your marketing has to be in place, and you have to kind of set up yourself, to custom and handle that builder and their needs. That's why, like you said, Kevin, know their story. It's so important to know the story of the builder. Are they second generation builders? Are they first generation? Is this their first project, or this is their 1,000, homes? So when I'm talking with more seasonal builders, it's obvious. I mean, they've gone through a lot. If they've built a couple hundred homes or a couple thousand homes, they got a certain book of expectation. They got their own book of experience, and this is what they're trying to seek out of the salesperson. So there's definitely a lot of these concepts that you have to build, you as a broker inside of your broker business, to slowly accustom yourself to taking on the listing side of the builder. But being on the buyer side of the builders, a lot easier. All you have to do is really work on your marketing and how to address, um, bringing buyers to those builders into those communities.
Yeah, there's one more little question I think that is good to
Sure.
address at this point right here is when it comes to getting those listings from that builder. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard a lot of other agents working around this, and I've seen people actually get these listings.
Mm-hmm.
And what I've seen is the common thread is that the builder is going to give the listings probably to the agent that found them that land, unless they're like big and they've got somebody who's
Mm-hmm.
embedded and they
Mm-hmm.
only work with one
Mm-hmm.
agent. And you'll know that when you ask them the story, how they find
Mm-hmm.
land, what they're looking for, what kind of neighborhoods or what kind of
Mm-hmm.
property sizes and areas. they want, so you can start to find those for them. But they're more likely to work with somebody who finds them the dirt in the first place, the raw, undeveloped land, and can bring it to them and show it to them. They'll utilize that agent to buy that property, even if the agent doesn't have a listing on that property. They'll work with you because they want the property, and then
Correct.
you'll get the what they call the list back. So
Mm-hmm.
later on, you get the listing, but then when you get the listing, you also get control of the open house. You get the people that come through the open house, and
Mm-hmm.
anyone that's buying, usually in the larger new construction and anything that's middle range homes on up, they're usually selling a property as well. So you can also get that. So you get the dirt, you get the listing, you get the buyer on the listing, possibly, or at least get to refer
Mm-hmm.
that to another broker, and then you get the the listing of that buyer's home. So it's a much
Mm-hmm.
longer play, takes years to develop in this pipeline, but that seems to be, from the builders that I've spoken to anyway, the number one way that the brokers are going to be able to get in to that relationship and
Mm-hmm.
actually take a position on those listings. Is that has that been your experience, David? Have you seen that?
Absolutely. And like we started, our session that, bringing land or bringing buyers is the best, way to start working with builders. So when we're selling off builder inventory, I mean, builders love us, right? And they're like, man, these people are hustling. And even in our local market, if you sell like 3 homes of one builder, they start giving you, bonuses and all of that. So bringing buyers and then bringing dirt or lot opportunities. And there is a concept called listbacks. Some builders follow it, some not, but in general, yeah, a lot of builders will, do fiduciary responsibility back to the broker, as of like, you brought me business, I want to give you business back. So there is that relationship that is built between the builder and the broker for sure. So yes, there's a lot of opportunity, and we'll do a session on land acquisition and so forth. But it is very important, yes, to talk to those salespeople, talk to builders, and work with the pool of builders that are in your market. And
Right.
I'm telling you, like, and that is the whole concept of powered by ground. Whether you want to, and this is why we call it the business plan, whether you really want to create this business plan for yourself, for your team, for your company, or, you're not going to. And I believe those who have and those who practice on making this part of their business plan have gone so much further as brokers in their market than those who haven't. And I mean, in our market, it's 33%. There's some states like Boise, Idaho, where it's 50%, right? I mean, and like we said, in some markets, in our own market, there's resale, but then there's new homes. And I just sat with the title rep today, this morning, actually, before we did our session. And she's like, resale is, slow. The only thing I'm seeing is new homes being sold. And I was like, yeah, because new homes still holds a bigger pie, and resell, has to go through its own adjustments right now. So people are still buying new because it's a bigger market share in the real market.
They are. The people are uh, all the way holding on to older homes. They're not moving out of them unless they have to. And
Exactly.
so the opportunities aren't quite there. And because of the limited inventory in the first
Hmm.
place, um,
Hmm.
these older homes, the prices are kind of higher on them than maybe what they need to be. They're trying to compete with new construction. New construction is trying to compete with resale, and both of them are driving prices up in
Hmm.
certain ways. And I don't expect them to come back down, but that's definitely difficult for somebody who's a first time home buyer who, the things they try and look to get a bigger house, and so they try and afford something that's resale, not really understanding how CapEx works, how the capital expenditures on your investment are
Hmm.
going to bite you
Hmm.
later on. You buy this older home, and suddenly within 5-10 years, you're like 40, $50,000 into repairs that need to happen. when you got in there by the skin of your teeth in the first place, and now they're in
Yes.
a bad position. So if we're looking out for
Mm-hmm.
our clients and we have genuine care and concern for them for the long run, we're not letting them buy an older
Mm-mm.
resale home unless they have capital already set aside and a plan to take care of all of this work. And when you lay it out like that to the client, they kind of go, "Oh, I don't want to do any work at all." And they see why the new construction space is the way to go. So in
Mm-hmm.
your opinion, David, is getting just all the way into the new construction space for just for the specialists, or is this really for everyone?
I think most brokers need to assess their businesses and their business plans. But I believe that those who are solo brokers, you could have just a good referral partnership with those who are more experts in the market. But those who are teams and company owners, they have to understand that this is a big sector that they have to really make a part of their business and business strategy. Meaning they have to look at their, like, I mean, every single year, brokers make a business plan. How many FISBOs, how many listing appointments, how many this. They should be setting setting goals on how many ABC builder homes do I want to sell this year, how many this, how many that. Maybe eventually I get become a listing broker for one builder in the next 2 years. So you have to make it part of your business plan as you tier it and as you build it up. So yes, you have to make it part of your business plan, and like it's the chief aim. That's what you're aiming for. You will arrive there. If you don't aim there, you're not going to arrive there. So yes, as a solo broker, you should definitely start thinking about researching it and making it part of your business. As a team in an office, it's a yes. Like people have to commit the time and the energy to become more involved in the immediate market where they're at.
True. And if you're wondering how to really get tapped in and learn more, the Powered by Ground educational series is available. There, some of this
Hmm.
curriculum is able to be
Yes.
purchased online, and also so much of it is given away for free on YouTube. You can go, and David's taught lesson after lesson that's that's on YouTube, where you can go and absorb this information and start to integrate it into your business and see how it can complement what you're currently doing and grow and expand your client base as a result of it. Um, and I wanted to make sure and say thank you for hanging in with us, all the listeners. We try and get
Yes.
together every single week to bring valuable knowledge and information that might help you to grow your business. If this could help anybody that you know or that you currently work with, make sure and share this content with them. Give us a thumbs up if it was helpful. Like, share, subscribe, all that, and we're going to keep building this movement. If you got some specific questions and you want to get in touch with us, there's a link right down below the video,
Hmm.
and where you can just get in touch, ask us your questions, reach out. If you have any questions in specific that you'd like to see us cover on this podcast or on future episodes, you can leave that in the comments below this video or on the podcast, wherever you're listening, or just get in touch because we'd love to reach out. David, is there anything else you want to leave them with today
No,
before
I'm
we
excited
bring
just
this to a
for
close?
this session. Yeah, and for many other sessions going forward, that brokers can start thinking about their business plans when they do on a yearly checkup. Company owners can start thinking about, and then definitely reaching out. I mean, we're going to create a webinar. I think eventually we'll do a small webinar here on the podcast. We're going to definitely talk a lot more. We'll, some of our podcasts and trainings will get more detailed, a lot more case studies. But
Mm.
yes, a lot of markets need this. They need good talent. They need good brokers, servicing builders and their product and the inventory that they're bringing to the market.
They totally do. And that's one more thing that I want to reach out, because I know this is going national, worldwide. If you are working with a brokerage right now and you can see the need for this knowledge and this education inside of your
Hmm.
brokerage, reach out. We do have systems, we do have some stuff built out that we can help to grow your business in your market as well as grow ours, and everybody wins at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, it's win-win or no deal. And that's the way that we do it. So thanks
Awesome.
very much for tuning in, David. It's always
Yes.
a pleasure
Yes.
every time we get
For
together.
sure.
And we'll see you guys in the next one.